got a lot of different things you can work towards. There is no Kaiser, so you could lock in the Rell here. You could lock in the Rell Samira if you really wanted to. There's a lot of different things you can go for here. There's no real pressure here from the side of EDG to really, you know, show any of their cards just yet in the solo lanes.
It's super hard to predict where EDG drafts are going to go because they can actually play carries in all 3 lanes. They do favor hyper carry ADCs and just playing around bottom lane. But even the Aphelios, they didn't pick a lot. They actually favored Samira and Kai'Sa a lot more, and Aphelios was only their 3rd pick of the day. So this is really a roster that can go anywhere. It seems like they are going to be setting up for getting the tier 1 jungle now that everything else is pretty much off the board, and just stocking their entire composition up with hard crowd control. This is also a great takeaway from Rogue Warriors comp. If you look at their current champions, Alistar and Renekton would have been great with that Taliyah, but EDG sees through the veil and takes away that strategy.
Takes away a little bit of the strategy there. The Taliyah definitely not as prominent as it used to be. Still something you have to respect. With the Taliyah, the Nidalee, the Lilia all taken away, it becomes very difficult to see what kind of a jungle pairing they will look to try and get in with this Renekton up on the top side. Might go for something a little bit more aggressive. Could go for the Karthus. Ooh, okay, I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, if you're talking about jungle carry, what better option is there than Karthus himself? This is super late game, incredibly powerful, and you know, recently we actually have been seeing a bit of a different summoners come out. We actually have seen a lot of exhausts come out from the Karthus. Just to keep himself safe in the jungle, and his synergy, the Requiem synergy with Night Harvesters is insane, because you actually proc that Night Harvester damage on every single target, giving you almost like you get 625 damage just off the Requiem with Night Harvester guaranteed.
Yeah, this is something that if it gets rolling, if it's able to get some foot in the game, this is a big win condition for Rogue Warriors. It is still hard to see them taking down EDG, but I like the direction they're going. I like the fact that they had enough answers in their back pocket despite all these jungle bans and jungle attention they've gone. They still have something that has a lot of agency, and this is something as well that I think people misunderstand. Like the wall of pain slow is actually really crippling when you're able to get it down. If you're able to get that on top of someone, not only does it slow you down, but it reduces your magic resistance. So the idea that you can, the Karthus has to just farm and keep farming, it's kind of a bit mute. If he's able to find an opportunity, he will be able to take it, and that's very, very important to recognize.
I will say this, however, Karthus in the LPL, we have seen it throughout the splits pop up here and there. It has not been great. The thing about Karthus is you need to drop very, very strong lanes. Even though it's a scaling champion, your composition can't try to match his scaling. It has to actually protect him and play around him. So I expect Rogue Warriors to try and go for a lot of early game lanes, or at least lanes with priority, to sort of push things out and make sure that the enemy team can't just walk into your jungle. Because that's the main thing about Karthus. If he gets going, he's great, but a lot of the times the farm up phase for him to actually get there is incredibly long.
Yeah, it takes a while for him to get there. If he gets put behind, he's almost null and void and doesn't really need to be, can be pretty much ignored. You used to go zombie Karthus. I do believe you used to be the teleport revive, and you just run at people and die and immediately get back up. That is ancient history. That is a very long time away. But with all these AD carry bans, the Ezreal going to be picked up here for Betty with the Lucian for Forge in the mid lane. So again, this AD kind of style of a champion here for Rogue Warriors for Forge. And honestly, I am kind of liking where they're going for this. The only issue I have with it as such is that if this gets behind, they are really far behind, and EDG should be able to smash them. So it's all about this early game now for Rogue Warriors.
I actually like the Lucian pickup. This is something that pairs well in terms of magic damage and AD damage in the mid jungle, and it's also a very strong laner. Like, you can use the Lucian to bully out early mages, push them in, and just try to keep that Karthus safe. However, the blind Lucian against the Ryze isn't a matchup that works that well later on. The main thing about Lucian is you have a lot of mobility, but when Ryze comes in, he does have the root and stun if he tags you with the spell flux, and we have seen Ryzes go for the Everfrost as well. So if any of those chains do land, then the most potent weapon of Lucian is taken away, and you could find yourself in a Taliyah combo. So I think that's what we're going to see coming out from the side of EDG. They are going to be fairly farm focused in the early phases of the game, and then when you see those items come out for Ryze, I do expect them to play very aggressively, try to shut down Forge, and then take down the jungle with them.
We'll see how it all kind of pans out. Again, it's fun to see the Karthus being picked up here by Rogue Warriors. They are still looking down the, it's literally a massive bear just on top of them. They've brought out a little tiny stick. It's like David versus Goliath. You kind of want to see David win. Goliath, though, there's a reason why Goliath does end up winning 9 times out of 10. It's just such a huge undertaking to take down such a monster. But anything can happen, and we have seen Rogue Warriors pop off this season, just not consistently so. Jumping onto the Rift, EDG looking to take down this series 2-0, get themselves back into winning ways after their only loss of the season last week. And Rogue Warriors looking to double their wins in the season as they try and take down the Goliath that is EDG. And we're onto the Rift. Again, no real shenanigans. We'll probably see a ward being put down on either Raptor camp. And I'm glad the Gios have returned.
Yeah, and this should be in EDG's home arena. EDG is a team organization that has a lot of affinity with Guangzhou. This is where most of the organization actually started, and also Clearlove is from that province as well. So having a lot of fans there, having a lot of local fans, always great to see for an esports organization.
I just like giving the Gios a little room, a little bit of respect, if you will.
Oh, sorry, did I ruin it?
Not at all, not at all. I appreciate the analysis because I was casting with Hysterics recently, and there was little to no analysis between the two of us.
I'll be honest.
It was fun, but...
In some of the bloodier games in the LPL, a lot of times I even doubt what I'm doing here. It's like, am I really necessary? Why was I born?
I think a lot of LPL color casters have gotten to that point of just like, what am I casting? Like, what was the point in this? Like, why am I here? There's no reason for me to be here. And play-by-plays go on and take it. But of course, without you guys, we would have nothing smart to say. We wouldn't be able to explain anything. You wouldn't be able to go through the whole setup of Karthus or anything, I can't be allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to be trusted with that, Clement. That's why you have to keep me, with it in check, if you will.
Okay, but I'm telling you, if we get another EDG and IG game where they have like 26 kills at 15 minutes, then you take over the entire game. Because we're going to go from replay to replay to replay, and you're not going to see any map rotations, you're not going to see any setup, and you're not going to see what the players even buy, because it's going to be full screen replays the entire way.
Pretty much, as we see Forge using the Relentless Pursuit, flash in from Scout, get the knockback as well with the seismic shove. Forge should be able to leave, though. 2 flashes for 1. I still think that's in favor of Rogue Warriors as EDG try to punish the overextending Lucian.
Yeah, that was pretty well done, and I really like the, even though it was a failed gank, this is fairly interesting from Jiejie, because most Taliyahs do start on the top side. They get, the AoE clear is quite potent against Raptor camps and also Krugs, but this time around he tries to catch Forge off guard here. I felt like Scout did give it a bit away, but he had that spell flux already tagged onto Forge. That's why he was rushing forward for it. In the end, nice idea, but just a little bit lacking on the execution and the damage front to make that work.
A little small bit of panic there from Haro as he realized he hadn't killed the Gromp with his final little skittle, and needed to rush back very quickly with the W to make sure he did not lose that camp as it was just about to stop its aggro. And then we can see the Taliyah moving from the top to the bot, trying to get that double scuttle going for themselves. They haven't taken the Raptors just yet. You can see actually he's doubling back on the mini-map to make sure that Harrow's not able to take this one for free. Harrow just going to throw down a skittle or two. Wall of Pain perfectly positioned to just zone everybody away. But Jiejie realizing he can't just go for these double scuttle starts as bot lane gets a bit of an engage. Kaishun just taking a lot of punishment. Meiko probably equally as much. And everyone just backs themselves away. Just, it's not about the results, but sending a message,
Yeah, the core thing about these trading patterns between Rell and Alistar is most of the time Alistar actually wants to use mount up because the auto attack can't be stopped by Alistar, but the crash down can be. So what form you use for your crowd control is actually quite important, and it does affect the trades quite a bit. I believe in that trade there, we saw Meiko use the crash down, and you know, QiuQiu was able to block that one out, even though he did take a little bit more damage. So we're going to have to pay close attention to that one. Jiejie is unspotted, and the fight is on.
Yeah, they got the TP coming in as well. Probably going to be the Alistar given off to the Wolves here. Viper almost going down, and Betty overcommits. He will fall. That is first blood going over to EDG again. Another first blood to add to their first blood percentage. And Rogue Warriors, they've got people down here now, but with Scout roaming so quickly, just so valiantly, they were just able to make that work for them.
Yeah, that was a bit sad from Rogue Warriors. They had the right idea. We had Haro actually poke into the enemy jungle, but he just missed Jiejie. Jiejie did start from his bottom side, so his pathing is a little bit unorthodox, and the timers were just a little bit off. Jiejie is able to get around the bend and get into the bot lane before Rogue Warriors really noticed this. And if you look at the trading right here, I think Betty goes very, very far forward, way too over-aggressive. The Attract and Repel was actually still there for the extra stun to go down, and he doesn't find the trade back.
That is a sad moment there, and yeah, good rotation from Jiejie. Maybe not as fast as clearing as the Karthus, but definitely a lot faster around the rift. You can see Forge now being able to pick up this massive wave. Very nicely done there by QiuQiu, just being able to keep that one nice and steady in the mid lane. Actually see a cull here for Forge, so realizes that he's probably not going to get much kill pressure, just kind of wants to see if he can CS as much as possible and get as much of advantage from that. Now Betty, it's going to find a lot of problems now going against this Rell Samira combination. And this is something actually we could talk about before we get into the next kind of fight as such, is that this Rell Samira combination seems to be just very, very potent at just making 2v2 kills happen pretty much so consistency.
Yeah, the follow-up from Samira is a huge point about this. When you're thinking about Samira going in onto the 2v2, the best way for her to enter is definitely with the passive. Daredevil Impulse does extend knockups and allows you to rush forward. So that is a great way to get in the fight. You still have your gap closers in, and we are going to get a 4v2 into the bottom lane as QiuQiu is barely out of position.
Yeah, just barely out of position. Was actually behind the wall in pretty much his own jungle, but because of the Realm Warp, because of that semi-global effect you have, and Scout again and again, this team fighting, again, it's not about the flashy plays. It's about being consistent. It's about being set up for your team, and he has been just the catalyst for EDG so far this season.
I think a lot of it does come down to the fact that you are playing this Karthus jungle. It's a very slow jungle that doesn't give you a lot of power early on. So we have been seeing EDG just take over the river, and with Jiejie creating priority for his lanes, Realm Warp becomes that more powerful. Honestly, just threading the needle on that play. That was a play that I think players that aren't familiar with Ryze wouldn't be able to make. That was very much on the margins with their kill onto QiuQiu. And now we are going to see finally level 6 take over to Haro. He's going to get a lot more power. And the solo killer potential coming in from Karthus is actually something that's very powerful and underrated.
Yeah, well, despite those 2 kills in the bot side, despite the Ezreal and the Alistar both dying, it's actually the priority for Drake onto Rogue Warriors. They got the reset, they have the Karthus, and again, the Wall of Pain is something that I feel like people have to give a lot of respect to. If you let out that kind of bit of a slow, also the resistance, as we see now Ziv might be forced to flash away here, does pop the dominance and flashes straight away. Scout is a roaming machine. He doesn't care if he's a little bit behind in CS. He is going to be making sure that all of his other lanes are set up perfectly.
It does have 2 assists, and with the call being purchased by Forge, I don't think Forge actually has the laning pressure anymore against the Ryze. Typically, the Lucian does go for Gale Force as his first item, just extends his range and has that execution. But I'm a little bit concerned about this call. Like Forge doesn't really have the same pressure anymore in lane, and we are going to see another 2 flash for 1 flash trade at least. So Forge comes out ahead on that one. Yep,
gets another 2 for 1. Nicely done there by him. QiuQiu jumps in on top of Viper, but Viper is very, very safe there with Meiko in tow. Betty here just trying to throw out a couple of random skill shots, see if he can get any purchase with that one there. The Ezreal we talked about a little bit, of course, in the pre-game, but it has kind of slowly teetered up in terms of priority. And again, we talked a little bit, Jackie Love as well talked about it as well, but it's the priority, you know, how cheap it is, but also how nice of a curve you have. But you need to be able to get those early advantages. You need to at least stay even in order to make this pick work.
Yeah, if you think about the Duskblades, it's 3,200 gold. Your components are really strong. The Sheen comes first. The Tier comes in as well. And, you know, you can get that. You get a lot of extra Mystic Shot attributes here, as we see a solo.
Yeah, they're going to go in. There's the Reaver's Wall as well. Scout comes in with the ult as well to try and just help out his team. Not able to get the turnaround, though. Scout picks up himself his first kill, but his 100% kill participation right now. And Haro, he's going to try to find some stuff in the jungle.
Oh, this is such a sad crocodile. The only reason that Rogue Warriors actually picked the Renekton was likely to keep enemies away from their jungle. Renekton does have shove in most matchups in early levels, and they were just saying, you know what, Ziv, you're gonna have to sacrifice 35 minutes of your game time for the first 5 minutes of the game. Just make sure that Haro can complete his first clear. But this is the consequences.
They do not get the seismic shove, so the CC chain is not quite there. Meiko forced to flash away. Heal has to be used by Viper. There's no summoners here for Meiko, and a nice little punish from Rogue Warriors, and importantly, they get the kill onto Haro.
Yeah, that was one situation where Forge actually was leaving his lane first, so EDG going a bit over-aggressive onto that one, and a good play from Kaishun, you know, just pops his Unbreaking Will, and stands on the ramp. Makes sure that none of his AD carries are touched here. It's a very easy kill. What are you doing, Viper?
Oh, he's not doing anything. He's not going to lose anything, but he is being a bit, shall we say, boisterous, confident, if you will. And I would be too if I'm having the season he was having. He's honestly been such a great, we've talked about it many, many times, how he's pretty much the MVP candidate. There's very few people, apart from people maybe on his own team, that would be in the what was it, the conversation, excuse me, for having MVP of the split. He might as well get Rookie of the split as well. Wow, not a single Skittle hit there. That was I think Haro was looking at us like, did someone steal my camp? Did someone steal my camp?
That's great from our observers. You know, the great thing about LPL observers is they are all ex-pros, at least LDL. So they have an uncanny ability to catch on to your every single mechanical misplay.
Have so much opportunities to be able to make you look like a fool. The Summoner's Rift, man, it's like all the outplays in the world. No one will ever, you know, kind of forget the time you know, like for example, Yankos and missing Nidalee Spears. It's become a massive meme, and it's something that I don't know why has become a massive meme. As we see the Rift Tile being dropped into the top side, that will give a nice 610 gold to Flandre, and there's about a 3,000 gold now for the side of EDG. Meiko gets himself the Ferromancy to crash down and out of this harm's way as Rogue Warriors now. Again, bad early games in Rogue Warriors. Name a more iconic duo because they're just not able to shore up these differences.
Honestly, what we're waiting right now is for the damage check. We are waiting for that Requiem to come down and see how much Haro can actually get done here. I feel like everywhere else on the map is not really expected to win. I think Scout has actually scaled to the point that he's not that afraid of Forge anymore, already with the Zhonya's complete, so he can dodge out on most of the culling, even if he doesn't get any more move speeds or flashes. So honestly, we're just waiting here for the first big team fight, for Haro to call down the death song, and to get a bit of a view of what his debut album is going to sound like.
You love your album analogies, don't you? As you see Meiko forced to use the crash down there. And this is, again, good priority from Rogue Warriors. They are in position first for this dragon. And they should be able to melt it pretty quickly. They've got mid lane pushing in. They've got bot lane pushing in. Betty is able to move up with his team now. Viper has to clear out this way very quickly. The Realm Warp is being channeled. Nobody takes it. The TP comes in. Now, the dragon has been secured. Rogue Warriors, do they look for the fight on top of this? Yes, they do. They find Meiko. The Reaver's Wall now tries to separate the fight as they get Kaishwan to jump straight on top of Jiejie, and they get themselves 2 quick kills. Nicely done by Rogue Warriors, but Flandre's not quite done just yet. Flash away by the Alistar, and now the real fight can ensue. See, the Wall of Pain comes down, and it means enforcing Flash away from Flandre. And now 2 kills, a dragon, and they are getting themselves back into this game slowly but surely.
Oh, EDG tried to do the full-on collapse. They come in from 3 different angles, but I love the way that Rogue Warriors played that. The correct answer to that is always to make sure you attack one side with all of your members first, and they get Meiko down before he even pops the Magnet Storm. That was a huge win getting the support and the ultimate away. Viper doesn't have any combat stats, and the solo lanes are stuck on ramps, unable to join the team fight. So decisive action coming out from Rogue Warriors and winning the day.
See exactly how this one went down. You can see they put down the Realm Warp, but no one from Rogue Warriors was phased by it. They just kind of went, yeah, we know you're not going to take it because that puts you in a worse position.
Yeah, Ziv goes super ham here. This is exactly the right play, and I feel like Jiejie's landing spot was super questionable. He could have been interrupted by damage, but he lands straight in front of the, never mind, as Flandre might be joining his fellow teammates in the replay.
3-0-0, third kill for Haro, and he is starting to stack up nicely here. He's already got his Liandry's Anguish, and see, you can get those stacks going as well in the Dark Seal. If he's able to get a Medjai's at 10 stacks, this Karthus becomes so difficult to deal with. We talked about the pressure and the damage he's able to put down at such a safe distance as well. And you pop down the Requiem and get everybody down super low. I'm liking this from Rogue Warriors, and EDG, they're kind of losing a little bit on the side lanes. They're kind of just taking this one a little bit too slow for my liking.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there from Flandre, just dying there very unexpectedly. But the kills going over to Karthus is something that should be very worrying as we see Meiko with the engage.
Oh, Forge gets caught out straight away. They do use the Realm Warp, and now Kaishun gets flecked back by the seismic shove. Should be able to keep himself alive. He did have to pop the Unbreakable Will, but kills a kill, and EDG equal up that kill count. It is about a true 2,000 gold lead, just a little bit under in favor of EDG, but those dragons are stacking, and Ocean Soul is going to be on the cards in about 7.5 minutes if they don't stop the count.
EDG still have CS leads on all three lanes. This is what's keeping them afloat right now, but what I want to see is them actually going into the enemy jungle and trying to stop the farm from coming out on Haro. What the most important thing about this is, like, ever since the jungle changes, you can't really funnel resources into the jungle as much as you want to, but taking away the camps is definitely still the preferred method to keep Karthus down. So I like what EDG are doing. They have eyes on two camps in the bottom side of the map. They're poking in onto the red side, and I want to see them go here harder, because let's be honest, Ziv doesn't have any say in the top lane. Like, you can completely forget his lane, roam around for 2 minutes at a time, and then come back just to pick up the wave. But if you can deny half of the jungle away from Haro, that's definitely going to be worth it.
Oh, Haro trying to make something happen in this bot side. Summoners are available to Viper and Meiko, apart from the Ignite, so should be a very difficult dive or a gank if they were even to look for it. Forge in this mid lane, not had the most impact on the Lucian, but keeping up in CS with the Ryze. Both of them on 10 CS a minute, so doing very well in that department. You see Flandre with the push in this top side, able to steal those camps, and that's exactly what you said you wanted to see from the side of EDG, is just kind of deny Haro as much gold as possible, make sure that he's not able to get up to his second, third item as quick as he can.
Yeah, and I do want to see what the item build is going to come out for Karthus. There's actually been a number of interesting items. You do have Demonic Embrace with the Liandry's Anguish. That actually works out quite decently for him, as he does go in, and the extra armor helps him extend his DPS time, even though he can still deal damage while he's dead, but he can deal damage while he's alive too, so that still comes out a little bit in your favor. Yeah. Another couple of items that have been pretty common are the Rell, not exactly common, but I was actually looking up Karthus builds yesterday. I was like, this is kind of interesting. We'll see where this takes us. Demonic Embrace is one of them. Ryze is still pretty decent, especially with Liandry's Anguish. You can keep that DPS down a lot longer, and you do have very persistent damage with the AoE on his W, I believe. So a lot of different builds. We'll see how he goes, and of course Death Cap is the go-to to cap it off, as you have good ratios. Ooh.
Here we go, jumping in. The Ferromancer gets knocked down as they're trying to jump onto Haro, take him out of the fight, but he's not dead just yet. Ziv jumps onto the backside. Jiejie goes golden. There's the Requiem that's going to bring down everyone below half HP. Boom! Welcome to my jungle. As Rogue Warriors, they get the fight, they get 2 kills, and they're going to be able to turn onto this dragon. This will put them onto Soul Point.
I was kind of surprised by the angle of attack from EDG. They were standing on full vision and trying to go over a wall. So they had to expend a lot of gap closers to ever get into that one, and I just wish that they were a little bit more patient with this play. The typical way you get into River from this angle is you push mid, but they went for the fast, expedient route. Kaishun did a great job at shutting down Meiko once again, and they never found the backline. They put a bit of damage onto Haro, but most of it went onto Ziv, and they couldn't find Betty either. So just I wouldn't call it desperate, but it was very it was a bit of an expedient play coming out from Edward Gaming.
Yeah, it felt a little overforced, maybe a little bit panicked, and with all the summoners available to Rogue Warriors, they only had to expend 2 flashes. If we have a look again at this fight, it's exactly what you said. They tried to overforce it from over the side of the wall.
Yeah, the flash from Scout to start things off is definitely not what you want to do here, and he does have to stop his own DPS. Meiko is also going super far deep into the composition, while QiuQiu does a good job keeping 3 members of the EDG beyond the mid lane brush. So they have 0 pressure on the enemy backline. They spent a lot of abilities just to get over the wall, and it doesn't end up working. So kind of a weird approach from them. Now, I will say EDG's composition, they actually don't have a lot of ways to nail down this Ezreal. Most of their champions walk forward and don't have gap closers, and I find it very difficult to imagine a scenario where Betty is actually ever crowd controlled.
They're kind of relying on Scout a hell of a lot of time to set up something with Flandre coming in off the back of it, or just a great Reaver's Wall to separate the fight into maybe 2 different sections. It's very difficult, like you said, to lock down pretty much anybody, especially when they have their summoners available. But now 2 items are starting to trickle in here for Rogue Warriors. We're starting to see them get, you know, a little bit stronger, a little bit more confident into this game. They still have a gold deficit of about 1,000, but that was about 3,000, you know, about 5-6 minutes ago, and they're on to Ocean Soul Point, so there is 100% room for them to be able to come back and win this one. You can see stopwatch being picked up here by Haro. He recognizes that he needs to be the one that stays alive for the longest while in these fights. And if he can pop down the Defile while also dropping into a Stasis, he's going to do a hell of a lot of damage and be a hell of a nuisance for this team. Now, looking down the thing, we get to see the Everfrost. And this is something I actually wanted to ask you because it's something that we've seen quite a lot. We've seen a lot more Everfrost being picked up here by, you know, AP mid laners. And I wanted to pick your brain a little bit as to why we've seen that change out of maybe, you know, like the Leandries or the Luden's Tempest.
There's a couple things going on here. On live, it's already been buffed, and I think the buff version of Everfrost is actually pretty ridiculous. You get 15 flat AP out of that item for nothing. It's just a very efficient item at this point. But on this patch currently, I think the main reason is because of the Rocket Belt nerfs. Once the Rocket Belt nerfs went down, the follow-up movement speed you get was from 50 nerfed down to 30%. That's actually a pretty big nerf if you ask me. So there's less chase potential on Rocket Belt, and now Everfrost does see its time in the sun. The other item for Ryze, oh wait a minute, but the fight is going on all different fronts.
Yeah, QiuQiu has been caught out a little bit, did pop his ultimate to try and stay alive. The Weaver's Wall is there, but he's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. All 5 members take themselves over the wall with the Realm Warp, and that is a kill in favor of EDG. So if they get themselves a pick, they should be able to get pressure into this mid lane and take this turret, which then itself opens up the map. You can see them putting down pings onto this Baron. They want to try and establish vision control because they know they can maybe go for a force between the Ocean Soul and the Baron.
Take a look at the timers here. It is going to come up in 1 extra minute. And for EDG, I think they have to play towards the Ocean Dragon's side. If I'm Rogue Warriors, I actually don't mind that much if you take Baron and give me Ocean Soul. I think this early in the game, I will be able to weather the storm, and I have all of my inner turrets still up. So I'm actually willing to take that trade if I'm Rogue Warriors. And that means that EDG has to play towards their opponent's strength now and set up vision on this bottom side instead of going for the top. And indeed, this is exactly what they're going for.
All right, 35 seconds or so now until the Ocean Soul spawns. EDG are in position, but you can see there Ziv just snuck himself in. He hasn't got a second item yet, but he does have Flash just about available. The only Flash that's not available... Good seismic shove, great damage, but no one blows any summoners just yet. Ziv putting himself up into the pixel brush to drop down a ward, and Haro is here as well. Flandre moving in with the sweeper to make sure he's unseen, and now mid lane priority is the name of the game. Forge went back to try and heal himself up. He also picked himself up Ezreal. Haro in a little bit of trouble, has to try and back away from Flandre. This is going to be smite used by Haro just to get a little bit of CS back. Flandre has already gone into Mega. Now the Ocean Drake has spawned, and you can see it being started up by EDG. Now, Rogue Warriors, do you go for the fight? They jump straight in on top of Scout, but he goes Golden Forge is dead. Haro trying to put out the damage. Betty still untouched in this fight, and this dragon is still doing damage. They're trying to see if they can go for it. Oh, nice move by Viper. He gets himself a double, trying to look for the triple, but there is the Requiem. Betty's still alive. Betty's still going. Betty's getting the kills. Betty's got the damage. They're trying to see if he can take away this. He missmited! He missmited Jiejie with a massive mistake, and now a 2v2. Jiejie puts up the Weaver's Well. You gotta drop it immediately as he goes in and flashes behind the red buff. Betty saves the fight for Rogue Warriors, and EDG are on the back foot.
Oh, that lack of crowd control really hurting EDG. They had a perfect start of the fight. They take down Forge. Haro is at half HP, but then I felt like they went a little bit too ham. Viper wanted to end things right there, right now, but he ends up getting one kill, but giving the opportunity over towards Betty. Betty is able to clean up and really take the fight all the way. Honestly, after the first kill went down, it probably would have been better if they stopped the chase and actually just took away the Dragon Soul. Instead, they go for the chase down. Betty finds himself alive with help from his dead teammate in Haro and is able to clean up with some nifty moves right here. Even the output. Oh, he spited too early. 100 HP.
Jiejie, my bro, my dude. You even made my voice crack. That's how so surprising it was that Betty was able to get that steal. But now, this is so difficult for EDG to try and fight it. Yes, you have a slight gold lead of about 1700, but the Ocean Soul, it's just mad. You see how long Betty survived in that fight? Now imagine he's had an extra little bit of health regen on top of that per auto attack, per ability hit. This guy's going to be so difficult just to lock down. You mentioned before of how hard it is already for him to kill this Ezreal.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good options right here. Rell is pretty much useless against Ezreal, and I think Rell is a large part of why we're seeing more and more Ezreals come back into the meta today. It's just to dodge out on that Magnastorm crowd control. So honestly, for me, the best way EDG should actually play this out, and what I believe they should have been doing for a while right now, is actually playing the 1-3-1. They have advantages in the side lane. Gnar is a matchup that Renekton can never hope to match up. And also, when Scout gets to scale up, he also cannot be denied in the side lane against Forge. So Rogue Warriors, they're going to be thinking ahead and say, you know what? We're going to start the Baron and force the 5v5 right now.
Here we go. Rell being jumped in. Kai Shun just being a punching bag as the rest of Rogue Warriors back themselves away. It's actually Rogue Warriors who commit their own teleport to try and be a part of the fight. So I actually feel like EDG come out on top of that one. They use the Realm Warp and nothing else. They gain the Alistar ultimate. They gain the Renekton TP. They've got themselves a position now to try and move back into this Baron pit. Now for Rogue Warriors, you're now on the back foot again. You need to try and find the fight, but EDG, like you said, they don't want this fight. They don't want to be in a close combat. They don't want a 5v5. They just want to try and, get the side waves going, look for the global pressure with Scout and with Flandre, but they're not being allowed to right now.
Fighting Karthus in the Baron pit is always a death wish. The Baron shreds 50% of your magic resistance, and then you're sitting in Defile for at least 7 seconds. So EDG really don't want to take a pitch battle against Rogue Warriors on that topside river. I like what they're doing right now. They're spreading the map in. All you have to do is just keep eyes and keep vision on the Baron, but in the meantime, try to continue to snowball by using the 1-3-1. You have a global in Jiejie to go into any of these side lanes much faster than Rogue Warriors can rotate, so just try to use that and find picks elsewhere.
Well, Forge, the lone clearer of wards, while EDG used the buddy system at the jungle and support to try and get rid of some of the vision that Rogue Warriors had acquired. 2.5 minutes, or just a little bit under here until the Elder Drake spawns. So that could be another tradable ability. And now we're seeing 3 items being picked up by the AD carries. You've got, pretty much the build that we expect. You don't go with a Mythic anymore with the Ezreal. He's looking for that healing cut to try and stop Viper from getting as much sustain in these teamfights with the Inferno Trigger. Viper, though, forced to dash away and to heal. This is the pressure now you have with Rogue Warriors. They can take a little bit of hit. This is the thing. They can start the Baron because they have so much sustain. With Flandre has TP and he's pushing in this bot side. Now Rogue Warriors, what's your medal? What's your call? They turn to try and take down this Baron. This is where the fight could potentially happen here. There's a TP now being channeled. The Baron down to about 4,000 HP, 3,000 HP. Weaver's Wall comes down, 1,000, 2k. Now they're going to turn straight away off it, and they're going to try to go for it. But Baron has been stolen straight away there by EDG. They lose 2, and oh no, Rogue Warriors, what happened? What was the call? What did you do? It's a triple, it's a double, it's a full house for the side of EDG, and they might just be able to end the game.
I'm at a loss for words. That was... I wanted it to be more hype. I wanted Rogue Warriors to just all in onto the Baron. I felt like that was the right call because there was no way that they could actually match teleports. EDG Flandre had that advantage, and they went for the turnaround instead. But I don't think their composition actually excels at Engage themselves. They're really good at keeping people away, but Engage is not their forte. As they run straight into Flandre, he gets a great stun, and one of the most impossible things actually happened. Betty dies before he can even flash.
I want to see exactly, because I think Scout got on top of him, was able to root him down with the Ruin Prison. Let's have a look. But like, you turn off it when it's at 2,000 HP. That's just a bad call.
The Weaver's Wall was even there. They knew it was coming. And just look at this galore of ultimates coming out. Gnar actually does find this stun on the backline, and they all just fall down to the AoE from Inferno Trigger. That was just... that was painful to watch. I honestly, Rogue Warriors, they should have stuck on the Baron like you mentioned and just forced EDG to come into them. Even if they get wiped, Haro is going to get so many kills.
Yeah, Haro will be able to clean up house. You can see the Requiem at the end with the Defile, and of course the Magic Shred from the Wall of Pain was just doing so much. Flandre jumping in on top of the tanks of Rogue Warriors to try and dissuade them away. They do knock down the Blast Cone. They have Baron, but they know that Elder Drake is very much a quick steal away from them losing this game. EDG got themselves back into a winning position. They're about 7,500 gold ahead. They are still looking down a Ocean Soul Drake, though, for Rogue Warriors, and Rogue Warriors trying to push forward. Demonic Embrace has been finished up here for Haro, so important to recognize that alongside the Magi Soul Stealer. They use the Realm Morph to get them into the pit. There is a pink ward, though, so Rogue Warriors are very well aware of this. They don't think they can get into the pit, though. They can't move forward. Meiko plays perfect bait to get everybody away, but the next fight, double kill for Forge. It's now 3 kills for the side of Rogue Warriors. Yes, you get the Elder Drake, but you need to get them super low. Now Flandre might be caught between a rock and a hard place. He needs to get himself out of this way. That is 3 out of the 5 Elder Drakes gone, as well as 3 of your 5 Baron buffs. A little bit of an overcommit there from EDG. I think once they got the Elder Drake, they could have just backed away and then pushed mid.
Hey, Viper might still win the MVP this split, but that was a troll play. That was hilarious coming in from Viper. He flashes over the wall and dashes into 5 people. I don't know what to say, but that's just...
yeah. This is one of those games without analysis, and you can see here, they get the dragon. There's no way for anyone of Rogue Warriors to get into the pit. Meiko plays perfect keep away, and then here goes Viper for reasons. And then the rest of his team feel like they have to double down. They have to commit with him, because otherwise they're just going to lose that carry. They've seen if they can get anyone low enough, and they just can't.
They could have won if everyone was on the same page, but still I think that was at the very least communication error coming from EDG. Viper saw the play that nobody else saw, and nobody probably will ever see. At least not in his MVP reel.
No one ever will. Yeah, definitely no one will be put in the MVP reel. But this feels like one of those games where, what we were talking about earlier, you don't want to try and break it down, because sometimes in the LPL things just don't make sense. It's not even like an unforced error. It's just straight up inting, and I think that is the best way you could put it there for Viper. You're a tanky boy, but if you get anyway CC'd at all by Ziv, by Keishuan, you're just dead. There's nothing you could do. There's no way you can outplay that if you're knocked up into the air or just sitting there like a duck not knowing how to swim. It's very weirdly set up. There's Jiejie taking a lot of damage. Flandre just about to go mega. Will get it. Keishuan, not able to protect his mid laner. Forge goes down. They forgot there is still 2 more of those Elder Drake buffs available to them. 2-shot barrage whizzes past Meiko's ears. And they're kicking up the tier 2 now in this top side. Now they look to try and push in through this top lane. They can probably turn onto the inhibitor in a minute's time in the mid lane as well. They need to be careful though. Haro is here, and Haro now has 10 stacks onto his Medjais, so he's starting to get a little bit more dangerous as we start to move further and further into this game.
So we do have to talk a little bit about the itemization. The reason that Rogue Warriors picked up an AD carry mid laner was for Haro to do maximum damage. He's the only AP source on his team, and if you look at EDG, they really haven't itemized against magic for magic resist. Taliyah doesn't have any magic resist. Gnar doesn't have any magic resist. So what they want to do right now is Betty is gonna be a bit of an annoyance, but he's not actually gonna deal that much damage. What he wants to do is just gold the enemy team to come into them, and for Haro to finish up the fight. Haro is gonna be the main damage dealer. We saw in the last team fight he was putting 4K, 5K team fight damage across the entirety of EDG. So they still have that itemization edge, and EDG have to be very careful. I don't think they can go in as hard as they did on the Baron fight or in the Elder fight as they want to. And they really have to play this quite measured. I think the best way for EDG to play this is actually get a kill and sort of back out a little bit. Make sure that you're not standing in the defile too long. Make sure that you're not full committing so that Haro can find his chances.
I see double Medjais, or sorry, not Medjais, excuse me, Morellonomicons here for Taliyah and Ryze, respectfully. And Azanya's picked up now for Haro, so he's got that extra little bit of survivability in these fights. Also with the Defile, like you mentioned, he's level 16. That's a big spike in the damage you get with your ultimate. You imagine seeing now Flandre with the Mega coming up very shortly. We're looking to try and find a bit of an engage. The Taliyah wall is perfectly separating the rest of Rogue Warriors from their tanks, who are just being peppered down by Viper and Flandre. They get the Blade Whirl to try and block out some of the Ezreal damage, but now Flandre being turned on a little bit. The inside line has not quite been picked up here by EDG. There are super minions no longer in that mid lane. They have all inhibitors up, and with the Baron spawning, you can see EDG, they're trying to rotate back towards it. Flandre wants to try and get back to base, heal up, get himself back into a favorable position. They have got a couple of wards deep in enemy territory as Rogue Warriors just trying to defend this Baron. But there's the flank coming in off the backside. Doesn't have Mega just yet. Will be a little bit a while off from that one as Betty now finds himself a little Gnar, a little Pikachu there. Meiko taking a lock. K-Tron goes in with the flash pulverize. Tries to jump in, but Meiko finds 4. Betty on this side is trying to see if he can kill him off. Haro jumps straight in onto the back line. It's a fight on 2 fronts as Haro now going to drop down the ultimate. Requiem does not pick up anybody else. Jiejie, though, in a lot of hurt. Needs to be so careful. Betty, though. Betty! Oh, he's going to go down. Scout with the perfect Zanyas, but the rest of his team now, with everybody being so damn low, can just turn on this like a dime. Zip trying his best, but a good seismic shove keeps him away from Jiejie. Flandre pushing in that mid lane, but with these death timers, we're looking at about a minute or so. It's going to be a 3v3 for the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, that was a very interesting fight from Rogue Warriors. They actually cut EDG off on the left side and then went for the flanker on the right. But at the end, Flandre actually managed to get away, so it wasn't that bad for them, really. But you could see the ability of Karthus to really section fights and just make sure that the enemy doesn't want to stand in there. There's a lot of interesting things you can do, and Jiejie is not going to go all the way in.
No, he can't. He wasn't able to get the full distance, but it does push Rogue Warriors off of that Baron. Now, Elder Drake is spawning again in 5 seconds. They've got Baron on the board. They've got Elder Drake. Harrow's only just respawned. Betty's just going to be on the map a little bit late as well, as the blue buff being stolen here by Jiejie. Important to note because Haro does not really have a huge amount of mana regen on his side. Also lost a couple of stacks on his Medjai, so he's not actually as powerful as he once was. TP being committed here by Scout as he looked to try and just burn down this Elder Drake. Pings coming down. The wards are there. Can they burn this one down in time? I think they might be able to. TP being committed here by Ziv in the mid lane, but I think it's a little too late. Baron or Elder down to about 5,000 HP, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000. Meiko again with a 3-man catch as they get the Elder Drake, and this feels like it should be EDG able to take this fight. You can see on the backside Flandre just keeping everybody interested. He will not even go down for his valiant efforts. Kaishuan is going to be turned into mincemeat, and that is going to be the game for EDG. Definitely not the most convincing in the world, but a win is a win, and they're going to chase down the rest of these kills.
Nowhere for Betty to go anymore, and EDG used Rell to the maximum efficiency, send multiple people in an early rotation towards that Elder Drake. It's a 1v2, attract repel. Are they going to find the stun? They do, and that is going to be the kill and the series over to EDG in a 2-0.
Definitely not the cleanest of game 2s after game 1, but EDG will get the 2-0. They get themselves back to winning ways, and they have a lot to think about when they go before they go into the next series.
Definitely suboptimal game from EDG. I'll be honest, I feel like this game they won off of experience rather than mechanical play. They had a lot of good macro decisions coming in with their globals on the Realm Orb and the Weaver's Wall to cut off Rogue Warriors from approaching the objectives. But throughout most of the game, I think their decision making was a little bit off. Their team fight engages were quite questionable. I felt like they were incredibly forced at times. And they didn't really index into the 1-3-1 as much as I would have liked to. They had a huge leads in both solo lanes, and they just went into the team fights regardless. 5v5 the enemy team, didn't really take away that much from Haro's jungle. So there's a lot of tape that they should review. And we're seeing Rogue Warriors, you know, even when they are on the bottom of the league right now, when Haro gets going, they still have a shot at the best of the league.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard pill to swallow for Rogue Warriors. You feel like they might have deserved a game 3, but you got to win those games in order to come back and give yourself that opportunity. EDG, they take the 2-0, puts them now onto 9-1, 6 games remaining. They are almost, I'm pretty sure they are almost guaranteed. I think one more win guarantees them playoffs, like 100%, regardless of any other results. So they're going to be pushing towards that. And again, we're seeing why EDG are just such a very, very strong team, such a powerhouse now within the league, because they're just playing these teamfight compositions so well. And even when they should be losing a game, when they lose things like the Ocean Soul, they're still able to find those team fights that work out in their favor.
Yeah, EDG for me, it's just, they have too many carry points. It's very difficult for you to shut 1 point off. Even if someone is having a bad game, the rest of the team can still carry them out of a rut. So for Rogue Warriors, that is a team coming in with only 1 point of focus on the map, it's very difficult for them to actually claw back and win sustained fights in the long run against Edward Gaming. However, I do still think we are seeing a bit of EDG's faults coming into this meta. This is a very front-to-back heavy meta. I think it is one where teams that can teamfight well, like WE and RNG, are going to find a lot of success, while teams that rely on priority or are more split-push focused, like FPX and EDG, will struggle a little bit. So we are seeing a bit signs of that. I don't think EDG has been the best engaged team in the LPL at all, and they did pay the price for this multiple times in this fight, in this game.
Yeah, and I think the biggest consistent thing that we've seen from EDG is if you're able to stop them from getting those drakes counting up, if you're able to stop them putting you on that timer, because like you said, they're not great at engaging, but they're great at absorbing and engage. They are great at forcing other teams into them and onto their terms. If you can stop that, and the key to that does very much seem to be in those drakes, you do have a foothold in games, and this is a pretty glaring weakness for EDG if they're not able to, like again, the Udyr, the Olaf were banned, they had to go with the Taliyah. They weren't able to get those early drakes stacking for them. It meant that at the end of the day, Rogue Warriors picked up those drakes. Rogue Warriors were the ones who had the pressure, and we saw they had to just kind of rely, like you said, on their mechanical prowess to be able to take out this game. Now, again, they had the gold lead throughout, but this was definitely a lot rockier than they probably wanted it to be.
EDG are a great team with good objective knowledge. They know how to bait you out and force you into awkward situations with their globals, with their setups, but they're not great at rushing into an objective themselves. They're kind of like a team without an entry fragger. This is kind of what I would compare them to.
Yeah,
if you're talking
sense.
about Valorant terms. So that's going to be the sort of weakness from EDG. I think teams will try to exploit this. We will see more long-range compositions. The Azir and Ezreal comp is something that I expect teams to try to take out against them. And Jinx is also on the horizon. So EDG, they have to play a bit better. And I also want to see them index into 1-3-1 more. This was one of the biggest promises of the team when they picked up Flandre. Flandre was a great split pusher. It was a great flanker, but they haven't really utilized him this season that much just because Viper was so good. They could just play around Viper, forget about side lanes, whatever. But Coming into the next patch 11.4, when we are seeing jungle slow down, when we are seeing the tempo going to slow down and hyper carries take a rise, EDG have to be able to either A, win the team fight outright, or B, know how to avoid the team fight. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of weeks, and the biggest test has yet to come for this squad.
Yeah, speaking of the biggest test, it is Saturday, I feel, is the biggest test for them. RNG versus EDG. It is our match of the week. Massive implications. The winner of that could be first place in the regular split, which is insane to say that we're only on week 7, and of course there's still 3 more weeks of games to play, but that's how impactful that game feels for both these sides. And for EDG, they are good, they have very, very high highs, but they need to bring up that consistency. Like you said, just bringing up the kind of, better, the different styles of composition that they can kind of bring out, because RNG right now, they are looking so good.
RNG have hit the meta on the head. I think they have the correct meta answer right here. The read is perfect. The Scions coming out and the Alistar, the front lines. That's what you want to go for on 11.4, especially with the Azirs. So we have to keep attention to that and see if EDG can actually match the best of the league.
See what they can do. But for Rogue Warriors, sadly, they are hitting double digits in terms of their losses. 1-10. Look, 5 games left to play. It's hard to not, be negative about a team that has only really shown negative. This was a very good positive game. Of course, they had a lot of early agency. The Haro Karthus pick I actually really did like. They just, again, didn't really do much with it. They kind of overforced certain engages and shot calling. That Baron play where they just got the Baron down to about 1600 HP, and it's like, you don't think that Taliyah has 900 damage in her kit and then a 900 damage smite? Like, come on, guys. Like, you're better than this. These are your basics of League of Legends, and it's hard to try and be positive about a squad that just every time you see positives, they just throw it back into the negative.
As a Ziv fan, that's gonna cause me some nightmares down the road. I can feel it coming already. I'm just gonna imagine Jiejie coming over the wall and sneaking my Baron away from me. But, yeah,
and it's not your fault.
I want to say for Rogue Warriors, I've actually been pretty satisfied with both drafts today. I felt like they had very strong identities, very clear win conditions that they wanted to achieve for. Wombo combo in game 1 with Seraphine plus Yone was super interesting. It was outside of the box, and it's exactly what Rogue Warriors need to do given their talent level. Game 2, also a very interesting draft, full AD composition outside of the Karthus, give Karthus that itemization advantage and have a team composition that's really hard to catch up with Betty. So I feel like these comps are great. The ideas behind them you can see in game actually working out. Both games EDG fell for the best case scenario of the compositions, but they just have macro mistakes that they don't take through and a lot of details that they haven't worked out just yet.
Yeah, for speaking of details, we got to give you the MVP from Game 2. It's going to be Flandre. This guy on this Gnar was just so impactful in keeping EDG in the game, keeping that pressure down, and honestly just setting up the team fight so they could actually come back.
Oh, his damage score was absolutely insane. He did the most damage in the game, I believe, even over Karthus up from Haro. And that side lane pressure was a big reason why Rogue Warriors had to rush for that Baron. They were thinking that Flandre had that teleport and could match at any time, so they had to force him to come towards the team fight. And when he did, he got a great pickup onto Ezreal as well. We're gonna watch this one as I think this is this is before the Ocean Soul, so one of the earlier team fights here as he's able to come in with the Strike Breaker and catch out Kaishun multiple times. This is a team fight where he found great success at just targeting out Betty. He gets the kill onto him with the combo, and Betty has been pestering this team the entire time. Finding the Ezreal was incredibly important to them closing out the team fights afterwards.
Yeah, and just you have to give so much respect to him because, yes, he was a tank, but just these engages time and time again, he just kind of stopped looking at the front line, jumped onto Haro, immediately onto Betty, onto Forge. It's straight away. There wasn't even a hesitation. It was just like, the Karthus is dead. My job is now onto these guys. Just cannot overstate how important he was for EDG to be able to come up and take that second win. Flandre has proven to be a massive upgrade for EDG, and honestly, upgrades all around for everyone they've brought into the split. Viper's been fantastic. I think that Flandre's looked very, very good as well. this is a team that can look very, very strong on their day, can do very, very well on their day. It's just, again, shoring up those small little, we're nitpicking, but shoring up those small little, kind of mistakes they're making in those games where they're not able to get those dragon stackings is kind of the key to them being a pure dominant force.
I don't think it's nitpicking necessarily, but it's just talking about trends. But we will have more time to